at the end. All right, so I'm giving you 4 documents right now. You've got your timeline. Logan, you can actually look up here. And so you've got this timeline. This is wave 4. So it tells you that the Ming peak is here. And the Qing peak, notice, just like the Song and Yuan, I'm sorry, the Tang and Song, the Ming and Qing, there's no crash between them. So we talk about the Ming Qing years like we talk about the Tang Song years. It's a very long, prosperous age, and it goes into decline only in 1840. So we're going to look at 1400 to 1800 as the peak of wave 4. The Ming dynasty is magnificent, and the Qing is magnificent. Bubu Jingxin time here. And then the Qing crash, and here's sadly what so many students want to study, what China calls its century of humiliation. And it's not an exaggeration, it's an understatement. China was humiliated not for a century, but for 11 decades, 110 years. If you look at the dates, they are staggering. This is my least favorite part to teach because it's modern, and modern becomes less and less beautiful, more and more depressing. So 1840, the Opium War. 1850, the Taiping Rebellion. Jesus' little brother starts a civil war that kills more people than World War I. I repeat, Jesus' little Chinese brother starts a civil war that kills more people than World War I. That kills more people than World War I just in China. This is at the exact same time that the American Revolution is going on. American Civil War is going on, exact same time as the American Civil War. So 1840, 1850, 1860, catastrophe after catastrophe. 1890, 1900, and then in 1912, notice what happens there. Look at that. Those civil service examinations at Han Wudi started in around 140 BC, and only in 1905. They're abolished. And in 1912, exactly a century ago this year, the age of emperors and scholar officials is over, and China becomes a modern republic. And yeah, so that's the end of the most successful political story in history. Yeah.
And so for 1,000 years or something, they had the examinations.
The Tang really started intensifying them, and the Song perfected them. Wu Di started an examination system, but it was not perfected until, remember, after the Han, you had the POD, so there's a big interruption there. The Tang starts it, Sui starts it back. Tang improves it, Song perfects it. So from the Song in 1000 or 960 until 1912, 1905, when it was abolished. Yeah, that's 1,000 years of Confucian civil service exams. The Qing did. The Empress Dowager did, under severe pressure to take on Western educational ways, because we need science to beat these sea barbarians. We need to understand their technology so that they don't colonize us. So yeah, it's a remarkable thing, that Confucian civil service examination. The age of educated, scholarly, able, and meritorious politicians ends at this point, and China tries to go democratic for a short while. But that's that's the continued crash of wave 4. We'll get there later. So anyway, so that's that. Put that in the first page of your wave 4 binder, and let's look at where we're going next. I love this. Those of you who like to think, those of you who find, I hope you appreciate that I try to make these ideas interesting. This is one of the most interesting ideas to me. Do you remember why the Yuan invasion of the Song is such a, for a thinker, such an astonishing thing? The Yuan, Genghis Khan coming in, or Kublai Khan coming in and destroying the Song. Do you remember why that's such a big, like, historical what if, Katie?
Because they were like this close to industrializing the same way Britain did in the 1800s, except in the period of the Song. So if he'd maybe been born, say, 50 years later, they would have been industrialized and had guns, and they would have fought him back.
They could have been industrialized and had guns. Yeah, so a major historical turning point, a major what if, alternate histories, and I love them because the imagination just reels at the possibilities if one thing hadn't happened, if the timing had been a little bit different. Well, here's another one. My God, my God, my God. How many of you know that China had an age of exploration itself? How many of you know the name of China's explorer. Zheng He, China's Christopher Columbus. Usually less than half of the hands in the classroom go up. Despite the fact that China's Zheng He sailed far farther than Christopher Columbus, with far more people, with far more sophisticated boats, and was just so in so many ways a more impressive explorer than Columbus. And yet we've never heard about him. Why? Because we're educated in an American way, and we talk about the Western Age of Exploration. Well, the Chinese Age of Exploration came first. So here is another mental experiment for you, and another huge, huge turning point in history. It's just crushing what could have been but wasn't. I want you to look at this map real quick on the front of your page. But look at my subtitle first. Arjun, Tate, I'd love you to challenge me. Anybody else? You contrarian thinkers, I love it. Arjun, I'm still waiting for you to come back with me on the human nature thing, but we'll get there another time. This is a historical lab experiment. And let me now justify and warrant that claim. In the 1405 to 1435 period, for 3 decades, look what China did. When did Columbus sail the ocean blue?
1442.
No. In 1492, Columbus sailed the ocean blue. Learned it in first grade, 1492. So, okay, math whizzes, American education, you're, studying to be a tool in some corporation and make money, so you can do math. All right, do the math. 1492 minus 1405. How much earlier did China start sailing?
87.
Thank you, 87 years. You're going to get a job. You're going to go into finance and make a lot of money. Yay! 80 years before Columbus, more than 80 years before Columbus, look at what China did. This is our lab petri dish right here, the Indian Ocean. Now listen to me. When I call this a lab experiment, I am talking about the Indian Ocean rim. And that means the coast, not just of India, but of East Africa, Arabia, Persia, and then, yes, India, Bay of Bengal, straight down here to Malaysia, Malacca, a major, major city in the Ming trading city for Indian spices. This city of Calicut, you want to put on your mental map, Calicut. It's where pepper was grown. And so pepper was a huge, huge desired spice. So, yeah, look at Zheng He. He is sailing right past us in Singapore, stopping in, what is this, Java?
Yeah,
and Sumatra, sorry. So stopping in, going right past Singapore, Tate, Arjun. This is our petri dish. This is our habitat for the experiment because, notice, China enters the Indian Ocean basin 7 voyages, and it interacts with Malays, Indonesians, Sri Lankans. Ceylon today is Sri Lanka. Ceylon is Sri Lanka today, this island off the tip of India. With Indians in Calicut, Hindus, with Muslims, Persians, Arabs, and with Africans. The Chinese come 100 years almost before the Europeans do, and they interact with all of them. And then, and here's where it gets just mind-boggling, they just leave. They just stop, and they leave. That's in 1435, I think? I might be off by a year, who cares? Look at the end of this map here, those of you who don't practice the art of noticing very well. Look at the western side. While China is doing all that, look what's going on in Europe. 4 years, well, yeah, during the last year, 1434 there, so during the last year of China's Age of Exploration, Portugal is starting to probe the coast, the Horn of Africa, looking for the answer to this question. Is there a bottom to Africa? Because they don't know. Because they have no idea. They have never sailed beyond the Mediterranean and the North Seas, the European coasts. So they haven't found it yet. Well, they will. In about 1490. You'll remember your schooly little elementary or middle school rounded the Cape of Good Hope. And and then came up into India, over to China. And so notice, this is Portugal and Spain, the Western, the European age of exploration. And they enter our same petri dish, the Indian Ocean basin. They visit the same places that the Chinese visited decades before and left. They visit Calicut, that pepper city. You will be reading in your packet accounts of sailors on the ships with Vasco da Gama, the Portuguese explorer who went to Calicut. Eyewitness accounts from this Portuguese sailor on board about how the Europeans behaved in Calicut and other places. And you will be reading eyewitness account from a Chinese sailor with China's Christopher Columbus, who also went to Calicut and describes what happened. This is a historical lab experiment. You got the same maze. You're putting white mice in them, observing the white mice, taking them out, then you're putting brown mice in them and observing the brown mice. And you're comparing the behavior of the two mice, except here our two mice are two civilizations. Early mercantilist, which means capitalist, Europe, still Christian, and Confucian, China. Yeah.
Do you think that China would have been the West of today if they would have gone further and found Europe before?
Well, there are some of you who still trust the History Channel after our Zheng He thing showed that you can't trust the History Channel. In a lot of cases, anyway, you have to be skeptical about them. There's a famous book called 1421 by a guy named Gavin Menzies of Australia who says that Zheng He rounded the Cape of Africa, went up into Europe and the Mediterranean, and then zipped over and discovered America. So China discovered America first. It's an interesting theory. It's certainly not impossible, as you will see. In fact, it's not hard to believe at all. It's not hard to believe at all. It's just that the evidence is not satisfying yet. So,
Wait, is that the book up there?
yeah, it's up there. Yeah, I didn't buy it. I found it at the bookseller. Okay, so you're going to, because, so now I want you to look at these two documents, and then we're going to watch a movie for the rest of the class. Look at these two documents. You're going to use this document as you watch the film. I'm going to spell out to you what your assignment is. It's on page 2 of your packet. I want to be standing up, but I need to be close to this computer because I'm recording this. I need to stay close to the microphone. So look at page 2 of your packet. It says to take notes as you watch the film. At home, you're going to annotate the readings in the rest of this packet. Not all at once. I want you to, at home, read only the Chinese documents. That would be up to page, somebody tell me. I've got it here. Up to page 14. Now notice there's a lot of blank space. It's 1.5 space. There's a lot of maps, so don't snivel. These are interesting things. I chose these like a chef chooses ingredients for a meal. You can be little brats and say, ah, or you can go, wow, this is going to be interesting. This is interesting stuff. All right? So, and Arjun, I'm not singling you out because if you read my blog post introducing the question about human nature and are we as cliche as they all say, I get this every year. And so this is to me, how many of you agree with this? Human nature is, and always has been, greedy and violent everywhere. Just as importantly, we're not finished yet. And there's nothing we can do about it. Okay, there you go. So you are going to, after examining this historical evidence, you are going to write a paragraph using evidence in which you start with this claim. This cliche is or is not proven true when comparing the behavior of Ming China and European fleets in the 15th century Indian Ocean. How many of you believe this one? All religions help humans love one another. All religions help humans love one another and behave in morally good ways. How many of you believe that one? All religions help humans love one another and behave in morally good ways. How many of you don't believe it? Why do some of you think that religions don't help people love one another and behave in morally good ways? Anybody want to? Tate?
Because like, for like Christianity, you have the Crusades. Where they, like,
Christianity has a crusades. Okay, Christina?
Well, they have so many cases where they did not tolerate religion, like the Spanish Inquisition. Like they kill off.
Spanish Inquisition. Okay, why are we singling out Christianity? Is it like the least loving religion? So far, it seems to be sort of.
Because religions are man-made.
Religions are man-made?
Yeah.
But don't they teach morality? Aren't they all pointing towards like loving one another?
between your
Yeah.
Not
They
like,
do, but then
if
they're
you're like,
Katie, Will?
they do, but then they're like hypocritical at the same time. Like they'd stone people to death, like as a form of punishment. Like they try to teach like everyone should be the same, but their actions don't.
Okay, all right. So your second paragraph at the end of this unit, guys, and by the way, Mo, you're going to get back to blogging with this. You're going to simply use evidence from this packet to answer these two things, and it's your opinion, and you're going to argue it from history. So this is historical argumentation. I am going to make you cite sources and all that sort of thing, just like you did in your Columbus thing, your Confucius thing. So this cliche is, again, proven or not proven true. Now, notice, I don't want you to start writing yet. All I want you to do, keep paying attention, I'm almost done. For the first question, we're going to focus on the political and religious values of China and Europe during this Indian Ocean lab experiment. Your document has documents numbered. So document 1, I want a piece of evidence here that compares and contrasts. There's the instructions right there. Put a star by it because I'm going to collect this. On that handout, you are collecting evidence on this paper. Why are you nudging Emma? Are you just being cute, or?
No, I'm just trying to think of myself.
You're going to put evidence from these documents, and you're going to use this evidence to write a really well-crafted academic paragraph, not an essay, just a good paragraph. The same with text 2, the Portuguese king. And those of you who, if you are a lazy bum, and you act like a lazy SAS student, and you deprive yourself of encountering one of the most disturbing two documents in the history of Christianity. These were both written during the European Age of Exploration. They were written by popes or spokesmen of the popes, and they're disturbing. We're focusing on religion because Christianity is going to continue being a problem for China until today, but especially during the late Qing. All right? And so one of the possible questions I'm thinking about you writing for the end of the semester is, how can Christian-Chinese relations improve based on their really ugly history? So get ready for it. I'm not going to pull punches. Singapore American School's educational mission statement says, an exemplary American education, and I love this part, and I'm doing it. I've been doing it all semester. Confucianism and Christianity, one's not better than the other just because we're all Western, right? I'm still doing it. An exemplary American education with an international perspective. So here we go, the international perspective. Most teachers don't touch this stuff because it's way too inflammatory. It's going to hurt some people's feelings. It's going to step on some people's sensitivities, but it's history. And the Chinese know this history. And so does most of the world. So the Romanus Pontifex from the Catholic Church and the Requerimiento from the Catholic Church. When you explore, you Europeans, and you discover new lands and foreigners, this is how we teach you, in the name of God, to treat them. All right? So I want you to find evidence from that as you discuss the values politically, religiously, economically. Your second document, same thing. Religions and philosophies. Vasco da Gama is the Portuguese explorer who goes into the same places Zheng He went. You've got documents from it. Notice I tell you right here, put a star by it or something. You are collecting evidence from the Zheng He voyages, and you're collecting evidence from the Portuguese voyages in the Indian Ocean. And here's your prompt right here. It's all there for you. I will collect both of these, and then you will write 2 paragraphs using this evidence. And to get schooly for a second, I've graded 2 of 3 classes of Confucius essays, judging your skills at writing a clear and well-argued academic argument using historical evidence and incorporating it, integrating it, citing it, reasoning from it. Your skills are, very few of you have strong skills. Many of you have shockingly a long way to go. And so that is why I'm doing this. That's one reason, because my job is to make you be able to write a tight argumentative paragraph using historical evidence from multiple sources. All right? So, any questions on that?
Mr. Burrell?
Yeah.
So you know how in this one you want us to read like documents 6 and 7 and 5, 6 and 7?
Yeah.
But then you told us to read until page 14.
So you're only gathering things from the Chinese right now.
Okay, so this isn't just due to obvious class.
No, only the Chinese side. So your Ming Zheng He stuff, you can do that. And your only this, the Ming Emperor, for the other one, because I'm not having you do the European stuff yet. Okay? All right. Thank you for asking that question. Any other questions?
Wait,
Yep.
did she just ask you we have to write paragraphs?
You're not writing your paragraph yet. All that you have to do next time is you're bringing in evidence on this sheet. You're bringing in exact quotes on these 2 worksheets, only the Chinese ones. So that means 1 on this one about the Ming Emperor. If the popes and the Portuguese king are saying this to their explorer, what's the Ming Emperor saying to his explorer, right? And what differences do we see between Chinese and European civilization? That's that one. This one, whoa. Once they get there, how do they treat Indians, Hindus, Indonesians, Muslims, Africans, Chinese? How do they treat them? That's what this is for.
Are those direct quotes also?
Yes, I want direct quotes for all of them. All right? Does it have to be big fat quotes? No. If you want to excerpt just the key phrases, that's better, because big quotes are bad. All right. Notice I do want the document number, DBQ style, and page number. All right? Because you've got to improve your skills in writing. Okay? And arguing. All right, so done. Now here's where it gets fun. Oh, let me stop this film now.